Insurgent attacks. NATO tankers go up in flames. We've got the latest on this developing story along the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. Burn notice. It's extreme training for a group of airmen in Misawa, Japan. How they're preparing to protect. Plus, Medal of Honor. The White House posthumously awards the medal to a Green Beret for his bravery under fire. And Gift of Life. Service members donate blood to save the lives of their brothers in arms downrange. Around the Services starts right now.
Now, proudly serving those who serve. This is Around the Services.
Hello and welcome. I'm Staff Sergeant Josh Hauser. Well, another supply convoy headed for Afghanistan has been attacked in Pakistan. This time the incident happened near Quetta, Pakistan, where gunmen set fire to a number of fuel tankers. This was the 6th attack on supply convoys in the past week. The United States continues to work with the government of Pakistan to reopen another important border crossing into Afghanistan. However, Pentagon Press Secretary Jeff Morrell told reporters Tuesday the closure has not had a significant impact on operations in Afghanistan.
The Chaman Gate, which is another major passageway from Pakistan into Afghanistan, remains open and has remained open. We obviously have a number of supply lines from the north as well, which provide us the ability to keep resupplying our forces. And thus far, even with the closure of the Torkham Gate, which is an important route for us, it has not in any way adversely impacted our ability to supply our forces.
Fuel supplies pass through both the Chaman and Torkham crossings from the port in Karachi. While both are important passes for ground supply lines, Mr. Morrell said coalition troops in Afghanistan have multiple means of receiving supplies. Pakistan says it closed the Torkham crossing in order to protect convoys from potential reprisal terrorist attacks after an ISAF helicopter accidentally killed 3 Pakistani soldiers along the border. That incident is currently under investigation by both NATO and Pakistani forces. And later in the show, we'll hear more about those supply routes from ISAF spokesman Brigadier General Josef Blotz. Well, we're headed downrange in just a few minutes, but first, let's go to the Pentagon Channel newsroom for the latest headlines.
I'm Petty Officer Michael Wilkin. In the news, Secretary of Defense Robert Gates says he hopes to meet with his Chinese counterpart during an upcoming conference in Hanoi, Vietnam next week. This after ties between the two militaries were suspended in January after the People's Liberation Army protested a $6.4 billion arms deal between the U.S. and Taiwan. Secretary Gates will be in Vietnam for an Association of Southeast Asian Nations Defense Ministers conference. Also attending the conference, Australia, China, India, Japan, New Zealand, South Korea, and Russia. Some of the most powerful women in the country are gathered this week to talk leadership, legacy, and leaving a positive impact on the world at the 2010 Fortune Most Powerful Women Summit. And they asked Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen, to take part in a panel discussion with General Ann Dunwoody and Vice Admiral Ann Rondow.
We would be nowhere, my perspective, nowhere as a military, had not someone had the wisdom to send that telegram way back when, had not these young women, young ladies way back when decided to step up and step into an organization that wasn't necessarily ready for them, and then just really blazed a trail.
The panel discussion was called True Heroes, Leadership Lessons from America's Most Trusted Institution. Deputy Secretary of Defense William Lynn is being recognized by the World Affairs Council, receiving the 2010 International Outstanding Public Service Award. Secretary Lynn will also deliver the keynote speech on achieving effective defense, lean budgets, superior forces. The World Affairs Council is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization committed to educating the public about international issues. The parents of Staff Sergeant Robert Miller are in the nation's capital today for a White House ceremony to posthumously honor their son. The 24-year-old Green Beret, known as Robbie, is being awarded the military's highest honor for defending his unit as they were ambushed in Afghanistan near the Pakistan border in January 2008. He is credited for saving many lives during the firefight. Staff Sergeant Miller's team members from Special Forces and family gathered before the ceremony to remember him and what this day would mean to Robbie if he were alive.
He was an incredibly joyful, motivated, energetic person. Just a good friend to have around because he always wanted to do something. He was always in a good mood. Kind of a playful spirit, I guess.
We're all happy to be here. It's a great day for both Robbie Miller and his family, and it's long overdue, and we're just glad we can be here.
Staff Sergeant Miller is remembered best for his leadership skills, ability to speak many languages, and natural talent as a gymnast. He is the 7th service member to receive the Medal of Honor from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. To find out more about Sergeant Miller's life and legacy, log on to army.mil. We'll have more on today's ceremony on a later edition of Around the Services. And for the latest military news, signature programming, and more, head to PentagonChannel.mil. I'm Petty Officer Michael Wilkin with your Pentagon Channel News Update.
As we've been reporting, the combined federal campaign begins around this time every year. Now that's a chance for service members and government employees to donate to those in need. Staff Sergeant Alex Farver reports on how Spangdahlem Airmen are kicking off the campaign.
Airman Justin Holden isn't much of a bowler. Hey. So what brought him to the bowling alley at Spangdahlem Air Base, besides lunch with his coworkers? The chance to give.
Today's the official kickoff for the combined federal campaign overseas at Spangdahlem. We welcomed all the active duty service members, dependents, children, any staff that wanted to come over to participate and play a game of bowling.
Captain Jeremy Bruner, the Wing CFC representative, knows there's a lot of people like Airman Holden who may not have heard about the CFC. So he figured he'd let them know with a little bit of bowling.
It's our official kickoff to advertise, let everyone know it's beginning, and let everyone get in the spirit of giving. That way the campaign will start, everyone knows, and we'll know what the combined federal campaign is all about.
Regardless if you've donated in the past or this is your first campaign, Captain Bruner says it's worth the effort.
Well, this is a time once a year for active duty service members, federal employees, to find something that they're really proud about and they really support. And that way they can feel like they're helping something, giving back a little bit, and feel good about themselves.
So while Airman Holden may not be the best bowler, today it doesn't matter. Yes, except for with his coworkers, of course.
Fun time.
Fun time. Staff Sergeant Alex Farver, Spangdahlem Air Base, Germany.
And coming up ahead on Around the Services, cybersecurity. See what NATO's Supreme Allied Commander says about protecting our nation's computer systems. But first, irrigation introduction. Members of an agribusiness team are helping Afghan villagers improve their crops. Their story next on Downrange. More now on our top story, the recent attacks on NATO fuel trucks near the Pakistan-Afghan border. ISAF spokesman Brigadier General Josef Blotz said Wednesday the insurgent activity has not made a significant impact.
There are other border crossing points. Another major one to Pakistan and of course a couple of other very large and important border crossing points to northern neighboring countries.
Well, there have been at least 6 attacks on fuel supply convoys headed from Pakistan to Afghanistan. Brigadier General Blotz said fewer than 1% of trucks and tankers are being attacked. Supply lines are crucial to maintaining the warfighter, and logistical routes crisscross the battlefield to provide the means for troops to accomplish their mission wherever they're located. Marine Corporal Bradley Hansen has this report from Afghanistan's Fob Wilson.
The 526th Brigade Support Battalion at Fob Wilson in Afghanistan is supposed to be in charge of providing logistical support for 7 battalions in their area of operation. Due to the increase of troops in Afghanistan, however, they now support 16 battalions, and that extra load doesn't come without its challenges.
The biggest challenges right now is personnel and packs, but we still have it. We can still complete the mission daily. So it's really no challenge. No challenge out there that 2nd Brigade BSB can't complete.
Their mission today is a supply convoy from Fob Wilson to Fob Logar and back. Brown says today's mission was a success, and one that he and his soldiers can feel good about accomplishing.
The most rewarding part of our job is coming back, really giving them guys when they get their meal, they be happy.
Marine Corporal Bradley Hansen, Fob Wilson, Afghanistan.
During a hunt for a wanted Taliban leader, Afghan and coalition forces tracked down and killed an insurgent in Logar province. Petty Officer Dustin Diaz has the latest from Bagram Airfield.
Afghan and coalition forces killed an insurgent in Logar province while pursuing a key Taliban leader October 1st. This leader financed the insurgency and conducted indirect fire, improvised explosive device, and direct fire attacks against Afghan civilians and Afghan and coalition forces. Members of a combined security force searched for him at a compound in Alizai village when an armed man threatened them. They engaged and killed him, then safely evacuated all occupants while protecting women and children. Reporting from Bagram Airfield, I'm Petty Officer Dustin Diaz.
Across Afghanistan, a push is being made to train Afghans to be more self-sufficient. Corporal Bradley Hansen returns with a glimpse of some of that training in southern Afghanistan's Kandahar province with this story.
At the medic station at Fob Wilson, Afghanistan, you'll find plenty of American soldiers, but you'll also find a few Afghan National Army soldiers learning everything they can from these medics.
So we're working and we're bringing them in here daily, about 3 or 4 medics at a time, and the ANA medics. And what we're doing is incorporating them with all the care that we do. They're seeing their own soldiers with our assistance, and we're teaching them every chance we get as much of the medicine that we can that they would see probably at their level 1 facilities, like our forward aid stations and our battalion aid stations. And this way it's going to allow them to help themselves out down the road when there's not as many of us here, help them to be able to do it on their own.
These Afghan medics receive medical training in Kabul that is equivalent to the U.S. Army's medic training before coming here for more training. Marine Corporal Bradley Hansen, Fob Wilson, Afghanistan.
The Iowa National Guard's 734th Agribusiness Development Team manages various projects to enable Afghans to better their own lives. Air Force Staff Sgt. Joe Woolston introduces us to a guardsman whose experience in irrigation is helping Afghans do just that.
This is the small village of Walk Now. The people here must pack water up this valley every day just to sustain a living.
So just do a surface channel.
Lieutenant Colonel Neil Stockfleth is a 20-year veteran of natural resources and conservation services. He has some ideas on how to make life better for the people here.
We're up at the Walk Now village looking at a couple things. First, we were investigating ways to get some water into some storage tanks. The other thing that we're looking at is that there's an erosion control structure. It's a small dam that we've built in the valley.
Assessing the village helps the Iowa native enable farmers of Kunar province to get the most out of their fields. With better agriculture comes better business. Then farmers can compete on the market, leading to a more sustainable way of life for everyone. Air Force Staff Sgt. Joe Woolston, Kunar Province, Afghanistan.
And that's a look at what's happening downrange. Welcome back. Well, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Substantiated reports have been trending down for several years in the military as well as in the civilian world. But that's of little solace to victims of spousal or partner abuse. The Department of Defense has made a whole array of programs available for victims. It's even possible to contact a counselor through the Family Advocacy Program and make a restricted report.
This means that the victim can get information, advice, assess safety, do some safety planning without notifying law enforcement and military command. On the other hand, if the victim's safety has really become a serious problem, the victim can say, I need a protection order.
And that means making an unrestricted report so that law enforcement or military commands become aware of the case. Anyone needing support can contact Military One Source online at www.militaryonesource.com or by phone at 800-342-9647. In October is also National Cybersecurity Month, and like the DoD, NATO is on board with protecting its own security networks. NATO Supreme Allied Commander Admiral James Stavridis says cybersecurity threats are not specific to any one nation or region.
Governments are struggling with this. Individually, within their borders, within their cyberspace, they are attempting to find the balance between availability of information and control of information.
Admiral Stavridis also said nations everywhere face a constant struggle to understand the ever-changing world of cybersecurity. He says due to the vast size of cyberspace, monitoring and defense are extremely difficult. Well, weather can hamper many aspects of military operations. Most obviously for the Air Force is flight operations. Misawa Air Base's 35th Operations Support Squadron does more than your average weatherman to ensure things run smoothly. Weather forecasters set up mobile weather stations to keep American and Japanese pilots aware of the conditions around the base. Pilots are required to brief with the team before takeoff.
We'll get in theater training for what we can expect when we get down there, as far as like if it's the desert, for forecasting dust storms and that type of thing, and training on what units we're going to be supporting, as far as if it's Army or Air Force, if we're going to be doing helicopters or fighter jets.
The mobile weather station gathers data including the temperature and humidity to the height of a cloud cover. All vital information for operations on the ground or in the air. Well, law enforcement and security officials have a wide range of tools to use in emergency or hostile situations. And to train, sometimes those personnel learn what it feels like to be on the receiving end of one of those tools. Airman Jimmy Mullen has this story from Misawa.
6, 7, 8. These sailors are training to be part of Misawa's auxiliary security forces. Today, they're learning the use of non-lethal combat techniques and weapons.
It's a safer way to deal with a threat or an enemy or a suspect without causing serious bodily harm or death.
They're training with oleoresin capsicum, or OC, commonly known as pepper spray.
Anybody who's using OC has to experience the effects of OC in order to use it.
OC. One by one, the sailors are sprayed. They have to fight through the pain and still show the instructors they can use the combat skills they've learned.
By experiencing the effect of the OC, there may be a time where the suspect may actually take the OC from the officer and use it on the officer. And that's where they have to know how to use it and feel the effects and fight their way out of that situation under the exposure of OC.
The sailors execute baton strikes and takedowns, techniques designed to neutralize a threat quickly. The intense burning pain makes it as much a mental challenge as a physical one.
And that's the biggest thing. You got to talk your way through it yourself. You know, when you employ the moves and the control holds, you want to say, get down, get back. Like you were actually talking to a suspect. Get down, get back, get down, get back. Get back!
The effects of OC manifest differently in different people.
It's a sensation of burning and blindness.
Cross your leg, put up your back!
And the only way to get through that is if they blink.
Keep your head away from sound my voice!
Sailor after sailor endures the effects of the OC, overcoming what many veterans describe as the worst pain they've ever voluntarily experienced.
So just how bad is this stuff? I'm about to find out.
OC, OC. Open your eyes.
Feeling like someone just opened up a big bottle of hot sauce, sprayed over my eyes, which is essentially what just happened. But by the second, I'm feeling more and more pain, and this is not fun.
The pain became excruciating by the time I began the decontamination process. The burning feeling gets deep into your eyes and lasts for over an hour. I couldn't imagine fighting in this shape, but for the sailors who had to fight under the effects of OC, they now know what to expect, how to react, and how to stay in control in potentially deadly situations. Airman Jimmy Moreland, Misawa Air Base, Japan.
Well, the 9 sailors who participated in the OC training are expected to graduate from Misawa's Auxiliary Security Forces Academy later this week. Well, knowing what to do in an emergency situation is important, but so is being prepared for potential injuries that could result from it. For medical workers, part of that preparation is having a healthy supply of blood donations. The Armed Services Blood Bank held a drive at RAF Lakenheath recently, the second one this year. Many of the Lakenheath and Milden Hall residents who showed up said they had a personal connection to the cause.
I just made it back from downrange and I actually got to see certain things, and it just made me realize that, being in the Air Force, we have a responsibility, more so than, just doing our regular job. So just to support our other brothers out there. So that was the reason I donated.
Now, the blood donated will not only help airmen at Lakenheath, it also goes to AFRICOM and CENTCOM. The combined total of both drives was 500 units. And coming up next on Around the Services, it's not even Halloween, but in England, it's time to drop off the kids and go Christmas shopping. Yeah, the spirit of giving at RAF Lakenheath extends to families as well. At this annual holiday bazaar, kids get to play while adults do some shopping, thanks to the Enlisted Spouses Club who organized the 3-day event. For many stationed overseas, it's a key Christmas shopping location.
Everybody is always grateful that it's in one hangar. It's an easy shopping experience. I think we have 106 vendors this year, so that's a great amount for us.
A large portion of the proceeds go to base and off-base schools and community programs year-round. And we'll leave you today with video of Marines and sailors on Okinawa, Japan, out on the old fragmentation grenade range. I'm Staff Sergeant Josh Hauser. For everyone here at the Pentagon Channel, thanks for watching.